Marriage, a dead institution in the 21st century? Marriage, once considered the cornerstone of society, appears to be losing its relevance in the 21st century. The traditional institution, which once signified stability, commitment, and the foundation of a family, is increasingly viewed as outdated by a generation that prioritizes personal freedom and flexibility. The seismic shifts in attitudes toward life, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, have led many to question the very purpose of marriage in today's world. As people increasingly choose to live for the moment in a world where tomorrow seems uncertain, the relevance of marriage is being challenged, with many viewing it as a burdensome contract rather than a lifelong partnership. The shift in priorities. In the past, marriage was seen as a key milestone in life, one that provided social status, economic stability, and a framework for raising children. However, in the modern era, these traditional incentives have lost much of their appeal. The new generation is less focused on owning assets or building a legacy and more interested in experiences, personal growth, and freedom from long-term commitments. This shift in priorities is reflected in the rise of the pay-as-you-go lifestyle, where renting is preferred over owning and flexibility is valued over permanence. The COVID-19 pandemic further accelerated these changes as it forced people to confront the fragility of life. With the future more uncertain than ever, many have adopted a live-for-today mentality, making long-term commitments like marriage seem increasingly impractical. The pandemic highlighted the unpredictability of life, leading people to question the wisdom of entering into binding contracts, whether financial or marital, that could complicate their lives in an already uncertain world. The financial risks of marriage. One of the most significant deterrents to marriage today is the financial risk involved. Marriages that end in divorce often result in both parties facing significant financial ruin, with huge fees paid to lawyers and settlements that can drain resources. The legal battles that accompany divorce are not only emotionally exhausting but also financially devastating. In a world where people are already struggling to make ends meet, the idea of voluntarily entering into a contract that could lead to such financial ruin seems irrational. The high cost of divorce raises a critical question. Why would anyone willingly enter into a transaction that offers such a high risk of loss? Marriage, once seen as a source of stability, is now viewed by many as a financial gamble with poor odds. In a society that values economic security and personal freedom, the idea of marriage as a lose-lose contract is increasingly prevalent. The decline of traditional motivations for marriage. Historically, one of the primary motivations for marriage was the desire to have children within a stable family unit. However, today, many people are choosing not to have children, citing concerns about the future of the world and their ability to provide a good life for their offspring. The rising cost of living, environmental concerns, and the uncertainty of the future are all factors that contribute to this decision. Without the desire to start a family, the incentive to marry diminishes. Furthermore, in the past, marriage was often the only socially acceptable way to engage in a sexual relationship. Today, however, the rise of online dating and changing social norms have made casual relationships and one-night stands more common and socially accepted. The ease with which people can now meet and engage with potential partners has further eroded the perceived need for marriage as a prerequisite for a fulfilling romantic or sexual life. The question of monogamy. Another critical factor contributing to the decline of marriage is the growing recognition that monogamy may not be a natural state for all individuals. While society has long upheld the ideal of monogamy as the foundation of marriage, the reality is that many people struggle to maintain fidelity within long-term relationships. Affairs and infidelity are common, leading to the breakdown of marriages and further fueling skepticism about the institution. The idea that marriage requires lifelong monogamy is increasingly seen as unrealistic, leading many to question the value of entering into a marriage that they may not be able to sustain. The notion that people could benefit from an undo button for divorce highlights the growing awareness that lifelong commitment may not be achievable or desirable for everyone. The influence of the World Economic Forum's vision. The changing attitudes towards marriage can also be seen as part of a broader shift in societal values, as encapsulated by the World Economic Forum's WEF vision of the future. Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, famously predicted a future where you will own nothing and be happy. This vision, which emphasizes access over ownership and experience over possession, aligns with the growing trend of eschewing long-term commitments like marriage in favor of more flexible, short-term arrangements. In a world where personal freedom and individual happiness are increasingly prioritized, the traditional institution of marriage seems out of place. Just as people are moving away from owning property, they are also moving away from the idea of owning a relationship or partner. Instead, the focus is on maximizing personal satisfaction in the present moment, whether through casual relationships or other forms of personal fulfillment. Conclusion. In the 21st century, marriage appears to be a dying institution, increasingly seen as an outdated and impractical contract. The shift in societal values, particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic, has led many to prioritize personal freedom and short-term satisfaction over long-term commitments. The financial risks associated with divorce, the decline of traditional motivations for marriage, and the growing recognition of non-monogamous relationships have all contributed to the erosion of marriage's relevance. As society continues to evolve, it is likely that marriage will continue to decline in importance, replaced by more flexible and individualized forms of relationships that better align with the values of the modern world. Whether this represents progress or a loss of something valuable is a matter of perspective, but one thing is clear. The institution of marriage is no longer the cornerstone of society that it once was.